Hello! Our Portrait Roadshow is travelling the length and breadth of Britain and Ireland in search of a brand new artistic talent.
This week's competition takes place at Cardiff City Hall. Welcome to Sky Art's Portrait Artist of the Year. Our journey to the Welsh capital today began when we invited artists to submit a self-portrait.
3 expert judges were given the difficult task of narrowing down the entries, and the very best were invited to our specially constructed art gallery and studio in Trafalgar Square in London, to the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery and Museum in Glasgow, and to the Royal Dublin Society in Ireland.
So today we're in Cardiff, looking for our 4th and last finalist. All 4 finalists will have their work displayed at the National Portrait Gallery in London.
Some of our artists today are professionals, some enthusiastic amateurs, but all have the chance to win what could be a life-changing prize, a £10,000 commission to paint one of today's most successful authors, Hillary Mantel. The portrait will become part of the permanent collection at the British Library. So who's got what it takes to become
Sky Art's Portrait Artist of the Year? Welcome to Cardiff City Hall, where 21 very nervous competition finalists are preparing to undertake the challenge of their artistic career.
And some other fabulously talented artists will be joining us here today to give us tips on portraiture in all its forms.
But first, let's meet the judges who had the difficult task of selecting today's finalists from the 1,850 who entered our competition.
Our first judge, Kate Bryan, is head of contemporary at the Fine Art Society. A career working at the British Museum and in Hong Kong has introduced her to international worlds and more unusual aesthetics.
Our second judge, painter Tai-Shan Schierenberg, has entered and won the most important painting competitions and so knows well what our competitors will be going through.
Our last judge, Kathleen Soriano, is Director of Exhibitions at the Royal Academy, and before that had a distinguished career at the National Portrait Gallery. Now, you've only seen the submitted digital entries. Now, we're going to see the real thing. What difference will it be?
Well, on computers, you're sort of one removed. I think it's like listening to music on a computer, you know, or going to a live concert. It's much more exciting seeing it in the flesh.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be an element of surprise. Some will probably look better in photographs than they do in real life, whereas others, you hope, really sing in the flesh.
Yes, and I think you also get that sense of the texture and the depth and the character that really comes through with the final work.
So it's going to be a surprise.
Yes,
right now.
Always, yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
This was one we loved. Do you remember when we saw it? It all jumped out at us. She just looks absolutely fantastic. I'm really looking forward to meeting her. It's just such an enigmatic, vibrant painting. You're definitely invited into the scene.
Or a sitter.
Yeah, aggressive stance.
That's an interesting idea.
Because
she's playing with the idea of you sitting here being painted by her.
Feels like another youthful entrant, I think.
Well, it is a self-portrait.
Oh, well, yes, sorry, I'm just going by the colours and the attitude and the dress.
And he's obviously turned it after he's painted it to get these drips going that way.
I like drips. I mean, they can be a bit self-conscious at times, but I do like a bit of painterliness.
I hope we get some drips.
Yes?
Terrible signature.
Do we like signatures or not?
No, we
Not
hate them like that.
Although, funny enough, maybe in this one it works.
I'm thinking about tags and graffiti. So sometimes I think there is an excuse, but I think it has to be an integral part of the composition.
What's wrong with a signature on a painting?
I just think it's kind of brutal and it just looks a bit naff to me. I always encourage my artists not to.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, you gave a little gasp then.
Well,
it's very accomplished, isn't it?
I mean, I've never seen one quite less photographic.
Yeah.
You are mesmerised by it. But someone needs to talk to him about his signature as well. It's so distracting.
But maybe in the case of a hyper-realist painting, it almost makes you need it.
Now then, did you imagine that this was as small as it turns out to be?
Yeah, I mean, we knew it was a graphic work. We knew that it was a print, and we thought it was quite good to have that variety.
For me, there's something quite sort of mechanical about his process. I wonder how he's going to grapple the sort of unknown face.
It would be interesting to watch them work.
Yes.
Before today's heat, to find the last of our 4 semi-finalists gets underway, the artists have a chance to study the competition.
There's such a huge variety of different styles, and some of them are exceptionally good.
I wish I hadn't seen the rest of the portraits because I'm quite intimidated now.
To be honest, I've deliberately not looked at anyone else's work so that it doesn't sort of freak me out when I'm in there. I'm just going to try not to think about what anyone else is doing, just do my own thing. I'd like to say that I wasn't ambitious, but part of me would quite like to win it.
This is just such an amazing opportunity because the prize is to not only paint a famous double Booker Prize winning author, but also to have your piece hung in the British Library, potentially forever.
Now, you've seen all the self-portraits of the people who are going to be competing today. Have you got favourites? Have you got people you're going to watch?
The one who springs to mind is I thought the technique was very good and the expression was good. It was the head of the young man with the bolts through it. I thought it was very good. Any favourites?
I'm really looking forward to seeing what the woman does who did the fantastic self-portrait in the garden, and also the old mastery red background. He felt like a real professional. I think he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I'm keen to see him, but I'm also quite keen to see the young girl putting her makeup on. She could go either way,
Yeah.
but I'd like to just see how she starts off.
It's going to be fun to watch.
So you have 4 hours to paint today. How is that for you? Is that your normal time? Short, long?
No, I take weeks to paint.
Oh, really?
Weeks and weeks, yes. So I'm completely out of my comfort zone.
Until now, the artists have no idea who they're going to be asked to portray. And our first sitter in Cardiff is the charity worker and campaigner, Falklands War veteran, Simon Weston. Next, we have a woman who's inspired one of our greatest portrait artists. Lucian Freud's portrait of Sue Tilley, entitled Benefits Supervisor Sleeping, sold for £17.2 million. And our third and final sitter today is Welsh rugby international and TV personality, Gavin Henson.
Oh, yeah. So, the judge posing Simon today is Kathleen Soriano, who is the head of exhibitions at the Royal Academy.
Right, thank you. Right, Simon, I think the most important thing is that you feel really, really comfortable. You know you're going to be sitting there for quite some time.
Yeah.
In the name of art, I think I'm going to have to ask you to take your kit off, Gavin, if that's OK, because you do sort of embody the ideal male form, and that's what we're doing today. Go for it. We're doing a sort of very contemporary take on Michelangelo's David.
I thought what we'd do is use something that is reminiscent of Freud's studio, but at the same time refer to Sue's quite wild private life.
I think the most important thing about this painting that was the sort of long, the faraway look in the eyes of the soldier who's going off to war.
OK. Is that too high, or is it?
No, that's fine.
Artists, you have 4 hours to paint your sitters, and then your finished work will be judged alongside your self-portrait.
You may now pick up your paintbrushes, your charcoal sticks, your pens and your pencils. Good luck, everyone.
In previous semi-finals in London, Glasgow and Dublin, the way the artists use these first minutes has often proved to be critical. Some tend to go off in a great hurry, show terrific promise and then fade. Others can take a long time planning and then wish they'd had more time at the end.
Well, I think it's really interesting at the beginning because you can see how all the different artists are negotiating Simon's face, and they're all taking different approaches to how they begin their work. So some are going straight to drawing, others have gone straight to their cameras, but then Toby, for example, he's gone straight to paint. And, you know, someone who was quite nervous beforehand, now that he's been allowed to start painting, is actually quite relaxed and quite confident in those marks that he's making.
Toby Hunt has come to compete in Cardiff from his home in Canterbury, where he supplements his income from art by working part-time in a DIY superstore.
Toby, don't want to startle you. God, you've gone off at a pace. There's people still on their pencil and people doing grid lines, and you look like you've nearly finished. Do you normally go at it like this and just...
Yeah, normally I just sort of hit it running, really, you know. Just make a mess, basically.
Excellent.
And then try and build it up.
Oh, I'm loving your flamboyance. Really, because at the moment it's more like you're capturing Simon's energy as much as anything else.
That's good.
Yeah, you can quote me on that.
Yeah.
So, Kathleen, how did you arrive at this pose for Simon?
Well, what I love about this is that Simon really decided about this painting.
This is the original, as it were.
Yeah, by Tissot. This is a picture that he goes back to look at regularly, and it hangs here in Cardiff in the National Museum.
Sue Tilley was famously a model for Lucian Freud. So what did you bring when you had to pose her?
Well, she was talking about how she'd met Lucian, and it came through the sort of party scene in London in the 80s. And I thought, how do we connect her party life and her working as a model for one of the greatest figurative artists? And so we thought, OK, well, let's get the worn chaise longue or worn sofa, put her on that.
And the glitter ball?
I'm hoping that the way it refracts the light will add a bit of interest to the background of the painting.
Kate, you posed Gavin.
Yeah.
Today. What was the big idea behind that?
Well, the big idea really was to think about the ideal male form. Obviously, Gavin's got an incredible physique. He's a sportsman. He obviously works hard to like that. So we were sort of referencing, a Michelangelo sculpture or even a painting, thinking about the Renaissance and the classical form. But we did it with a sort of kitsch eye to the contemporary. So we've got this very vibrant set.
Just half an hour into the 4 hours our artists have been given to paint their portraits, we're seeing a huge variety of styles and approaches. At this early stage, anyone could still emerge as today's heat winner of Portrait Artist of the Year. One of the artists who caught the judge's eye early on as showing promise is Nick Lord, who is just 24. He's one of our local competitors who was popped by from just round the corner.
The sort of challenge of doing a self-portrait is always quite a hard one because it's so used to sort of looking at other people when you're working, so when looking at yourself, you sort of start to sort of realise sort of different things when you're painting. So it was, that sort of challenge was appealing to sort of try and overcome and conquer, I suppose. My day job is, I suppose, I would class myself as a modeller. Not a model, but I work for my dad. Painting model railways to make them look distressed and old and making them look realistic, basically. So that's what I do when I'm not painting. So I'm painting, but on trains, toy trains. I wouldn't say I'm a professional yet, purely because I'm not making enough money to sort of to live off it as such. When I get to that stage, then I class myself as professional. I tend to specialise in portraiture, but I can do other things as well. But that is my key element to my work, and sort of what sort of inspires me to keep working is that experimentation and sort of exploration of paint and the human body.
I'm slightly worried by Nick, who's in a world of his own with his earphones on. He's really got very little on the page yet. He's working in pencil. He's quite a graphic artist, so I'm hoping that once he gets his building blocks in place, although it's taken him longer than everyone else, that actually he'll be able to just race through. But at this stage, he's quite far behind.
Feeling the nerves, I think. So I'm a bit behind schedule. I wanted to sort of try and get the drawing done in the first hour, but this is the hardest part, so I'm trying to get it all mapped out in proportion. So then when I paint, I can sort of just relax a bit then and sort of make a bit of mess and have a bit of fun. But a lot of people are using oil, whereas I'll be using acrylic, so it dries faster, so I can hopefully smash it out a bit.
One of today's competitors, Scott Poschmidt, is a founding member of the Lavender Hill Studios in Battersea, which are dedicated to traditional figurative art. He studied in Florence for 10 years before moving to London.
Hi Scott,
Good, how are you?
Fascinated to see how this is taking shape. I mean, it started out really just completely abstract, just a few lines. And I thought, what's he doing? That's totally opposite to his style, but obviously you're just really placing.
Just blocking it out.
Yeah. It's quite ambitious. Do you think you're going to get the whole figure done?
Probably not. but I'll have a focus up
exactly,
at the top.
Yeah, so we know where you're headed.
The man whose photorealist self-portrait so intrigued the judges at the start is Nicholas Smith. He doesn't have enough time today to do all the detail needed for photorealism, so he's taken quite a different approach.
Nick, it's really nice seeing which aspect of Sue you've all picked, but I really like yours. It's a really sort of grumpy and slightly suspicious look you've got. And you've got eye contact, so is she looking in your direction?
Yeah,
she is.
Yes, and also, I don't know if I'll be able to use it, but I also took a photo of her looking at me, so at the end,
Oh, really? Oh, right.
hopefully I'll be able to get some detail on the eyes.
I'm really pleased to see how most of them are getting on. Sarah's got actually a very good portrait already begun. Scott's a very old master-style painter, and he recognises he's only going to get the face done, but yet he's got this great composition all planned out. Pamela's brilliant. She's got this whole colour blocking thing going on. It's really vibrant. We don't know how much of that colour we'll eventually see, but I'm glad it's there to begin with.
Pamela Engels is another of our artists today whose art is both a passion and a part of their working life. She's a sculptor as well as a painter.
My father was a Dutchman, and although I was born and grew up here locally in Old Windsor, studied and taught in England, it was Holland that seemed to call me at one point. And for most of my adult life, I've actually been living in Holland. I returned to my roots almost 4 years ago now, so I feel very much at home again, actually, after all those years of being away. Wow, look at this one.
Ooh, lovely pink.
Yeah. My mother, at 91, thankfully is still with us, and so I can enjoy her company, and she enjoys mine as well. And through my sculpting, she's also become very enthusiastic, tried a hand at it, and is sculpting away as happily as I am now. To pay the bills, I am working 3 days a week, serving coffees and lunches in a cafe in Windsor, and for me that's an important part of my life. I do love mixing with people and being part of the community. My tactics to prepare for the competition, I've decided, is to work on a canvas and just complete it in one day. So I took a photo of Tom Jones, of Stephen Fry, and Usain Bolt, and I feel I've really captured something very special in their character.
To what extent do you feel that you've reached where you want to go with the face?
Oh, that's my last place I go to.
Right, okay.
Actually, so I'm trying just to sort of get a feel of the complete person, but the last sort of concentration I'll be making is to get there.
Right.
And I'll probably move on to brushes for that.
Entrants were allowed to work in any medium, including oils, pastels, charcoal or pencil. One of our competitors chose lino cuttings, in which a sheet of linoleum is carved with a sharp blade, spread with ink and used to create a print. I'm sure everyone says this, but I remember doing this in art and crafts at school with, I mean, obviously a lot more basic level than this. So you do this professionally now. So what kind of work would you normally be doing?
Not self-portraits generally.
No.
Or portraits for that matter. I do a lot of pictures of landscapes. I do lots of pictures of donkeys as well.
Donkeys?
Yes.
You can't have a speciality.
Donkeys is my speciality.
Okay. So what are your advantages today, would you say, over the people who are working in normal acrylics?
I don't think I've got any, really.
And is that because of the time the process takes?
Partly that. Partly because it could all go wrong at the last minute, and then once it's gone.
How do you rob out a mistake on a lino cut?
So every cut, you've got to really make sure you know what you're doing.
So there is no margin for error?
No, and I won't really know until I've printed it whether it's worked or not.
Oh, of course. Anyway, I won't keep you any longer, but good luck with it.
Thank you.
We're just about halfway through the time the artists are allowed for painting. Nick is worrying the judges. He's still working on his drawing and looks in real danger of running out of time.
Toby, who started so well, seems at risk of overworking his painting and losing the likeness. The standard is high and none of the competitors is showing a clear lead. Anyone could still be declared today's winner of Portrait Artist of the Year.
I'm impressed actually to see some really quite heavily worked portraits. Toby and Gregory have produced quite a lot just in this morning. Bit of a danger though for someone like Toby, because we really liked it to begin with, and I'm worried now he's got too much time on his hands, potentially play with it too much. It's amazing how quickly a likeness can disappear, how the personality can go if you rework it too much. Gregory next to him has this great lavender palette that he's working with. The background, he's really taken a nod from the hues that Kathleen's picked for the background, and they kind of imbue the portrait with this lovely, cool tone, which is quite different to the others, which I think is great.
Gregory is another of today's competitors who makes part of his income from his painting. In his case, his passion for art also provides the rest of it.
I live in Tiverton in Devon. Living in the southwest is a great place to live for an artist. As I've gotten older over the years, I've appreciated it more and more. I'm a singer in 2 bands, and I also like performance and acting. And the truth is, I dropped out of the drama school not sure what I was doing, and that's when my girlfriend said to me, oh, here's an old box of paints, get painting. So I did, and the next day she'd booked me an exhibition at a local museum. She said, well, you better get cracking, because you've got 3 months to do 40 pictures. I started portrait painting from the response that I got from seeing amazing portraits in galleries. When you see a piece that really pulls at you, really tugs at you and gives you a physical and emotional response to it, it was that sort of feeling that got me wanting to paint. Oh, I want to do that. I wish I'd done that. So, that's when I really took portrait painting seriously. I've always loved animals ever since I was a child. It's been something that's all throughout my life. And I've been visiting Africa in the last few years, and I've painted lots of pictures from there. And I also take people out on art safaris painting wildlife there. I live with a man called Lee, who has learning disabilities. I help him with life skills, sort of things we do day to day that we take for granted, and also to help him integrate and live in the community.
Yeah, no.
Bit of a tiddler, ain't it?
Yeah.
I worked at a care home for a short while, and when it closed, they couldn't find him a home. So the authorities asked me if I would take him home for Christmas. And he's been with us for nearly 10 years.
We just came back from a quick break, and Nick, who was really struggling, who's this guy here, he's got this kind of like fast, loose style, so I thought he would be blocking it out quite early on. He spent the entire morning just fixated on the eyes, and this kind of like cold, hard pencil drawing of the eyes.
He's been measuring very carefully as well. I've seen him use the ruler and stuff.
Exactly.
I quite like the fact that he's working on a blue ground. I mean, that's very beautiful.
I like the blue ground, but I was worried about him because I was thinking he's really, really far behind the others. He'd just done the eyes, but now he's come back from the break, hopefully go fresh.
Do you think he's seen how far other people are getting on and put into second gear?
So exacting. I want to see the drips.
They'll come along. There's plenty of time.
Plenty of time.
OK, artists all, you've got just under 1 hour left.
Slightly concerned that they're all falling into being specific types of portraiture that I'm already very familiar with, and actually whether we really ought to try hard to pick something that is actually very different from what would be expected, that maybe is slightly smaller and quieter than the more traditional expected portraits.
I did the first test print because I wasn't sure about some things, some areas, so I thought I'd leave them, do a test print first and then work into them. So now I've done my final 1-colour print. I might do a 2-colour print. I've done some second prints that just for the shirt, to make the shirt blue.
The painting competition is not the only reason we've taken over Cardiff Town Hall today. We're open to the public who have been enjoying a whole variety of portrait creation, from sculpture to a man who produces likenesses out of, love it or hate it, toast and Marmite. I'm here with toast artist Nathan Wyburn. How does that happen to someone that they become a toast artist?
I got quite bored actually of using everyday materials.
So you were
originally sort of graphic portraits and charcoal and all that.
Okay.
And I read that you either love or hate Simon Cowell, so I thought of Marmite, love it or hate it. That was my original portrait, then everything else kind of spiraled.
Okay.
From there, yeah.
I like me.
Thank you.
in carbohydrate form.
Kate, anybody stormed ahead, they're getting something good.
Yeah, I think Scott. I mean, Scott's a pro. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's done this before.
You're a bit allergic to it.
Well, I didn't like his self-portrait, I have to be honest. It sort of turned me off a bit.
Yeah.
But actually, when I saw him knocking this out and putting in all his lines, it was really impressive. I mean, he got a really good gauge of all the balance and the harmony and the shape really quickly.
Yeah,
and actually, the colour going on is great, really gorgeous, and I'm loving it, even though I don't really want to. He's turned me.
Okay. The woman who's using the very beautiful, bright colours.
Yeah, Sue.
She's got the white background.
Yeah.
And it works because the background's white.
I think Gavin will like hers. It's amazing.
Why?
Well,
Why
because
do you
his torso looks really great in all those different colours.
His torso looks great anyway. But right on the other side is a hyper-realist drawing.
Yeah, I mean, he's got this amazing, perspective over the shoulder. He's got a really interesting pose. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to see what he can produce.
Yeah.
Artists, 30 minutes left.
Earlier, I saw this and I thought, well, it seemed finished after about 20 minutes. But it's blossomed and grown. Do you ever worry that you might do something that makes it worse rather than better?
Yeah. But,
Well, don't. That's my advice.
It's getting there, I think. Starting to take a bit of
Where are the
shape.
drips? Come on, I was promised some drips.
I'll put them in the end.
Have you got any faves?
Well, I've been going on all day about the liner cutting man. I really like that.
I know you
And he said to me, I'm thinking of introducing a colour. And I thought that's such a mistake because I love the stark black and whiteness. And then he showed me one of his experiments with like a light blue shirt on Simon, and it really worked.
I haven't seen that. I'm very excited.
There's some great stuff. So there's 3 portraits right next to each other of Sue, which are strikingly good.
And have you noticed how they're all likenesses of Sue? They've all got a slightly different grumpy expression of Sue. It's quite nice how they've honed on slightly different things about her. I think it's very good. But in a kind of conventional manner. And sort of, if you look at 3 of Simon's artists right next to each other and the lino cut, it's all very different.
Artists, 5 minutes remaining.
They all are very like her. Astoundingly like her.
Artists, time is up.
Please put down all your equipment. Well done. Before the judges select their shortlist and eventual winner, the sitters get to choose one portrait of themselves to take home with them.
I'm blown away. It's just incredible.
It was worth standing up, I reckon. It's awesome, that is.
It's amazing, the angle, isn't it?
There's bits of grey in there as well, is there?
they've all got different things that I like that I can't decide, you know. Well, I might prefer a dress at Primark from a dress with Gucci, although the Gucci dress is better.
Yeah.
Have you narrowed it down a bit?
A bit, but it's also difficult. It's kind of between these two.
Oh, right, okay.
Now, I like this because I like the style of it, but something about this that I really like.
Sue looks as though she's attracted to the painting by John Affleck, whose self-portrait caught the attention of the judges at the start.
I think it's going to have to be that one that I'm going for in the end.
Let's go.
My champion.
I'll go for the light one there, Margaret's.
Margaret's, okay.
The one.
And what is it particularly about?
It's so light and airy, it reflects my personality. I'm quite a light-hearted, breezy character, even though I've got this reputation for being serious, I'm not.
And it's still got that lovely deep gaze that you were looking for.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations, Margaret.
Thank you so much. We couldn't have had a better model. Fabulous.
So I'm afraid I have to ask you to choose your favourite. You've got a lovely choice here. What are you going to go with?
Oh, I'm not sure, to be honest. I've sort of narrowed it down to these two.
I mean, they're different, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very different.
This very kind of aggressive, quite psychological, and this one is really monumental and quite heroic, I think.
Yeah, I think it shows the two sides of me as well. I think that one might be a bit too scary for my kids. So I think I'll go for this one.
Okay.
Wow. It's the best one.
Well done.
Yeah, well done.
Great
work.
Thank you, Gavin. That's brilliant. Thank you.
Once again, in Cardiff, the judges have been impressed by all the entries. There's going to be some tough talking ahead before we get to announce our winner.
This is a great painting. I love the texture of the background and the way that colour's picked up throughout it. Really interesting use of tone. I mean, it's not actually a very easy colour to paint with, but you've done a really good job.
Thank you very much. I'm happy with what I did today, so we'll just see what the judges decide.
I think you'll love the way, Toby, you sort of leapt in so confidently right at the start with those brushes and started sort of creating an image that we recognise straight away. So congratulations on that bravura.
This face is very interesting, you know, it's got a really interesting dynamic to it, and because of the scarring and the colours, it was a really interesting portrait.
It took really long to get going.
I wasn't scared.
No, well,
No.
oh, well, no, and then the eyes came through, and I kind of suddenly realised you're really on track.
Started off very stressful. Took a while for me to get my image out, but then the sort of painting sort of seemed to just develop in the last 45 minutes, so it was a bit sort of rushed, but I tend to work quite well with sort of a bit of pressure.
It's beautiful the way you put the paint on. It's very unusual, and I think it's a very surprising piece of work. Well done.
Thank you.
Pamela, this is a really vibrant, upbeat painting. It was great when you started out, you just filled that canvas with the pink and the orange, and yet you've managed to retain a sense of that colour by actually even changing the background to green, which you said sort of reminded you of the field that he was playing on.
Yes. I just hope they see my spontaneity in there and the use of colour, and that I got a bit of his soul. I think that I got a bit of Gavin's soul in there.
This is a fabulously strong, sort of very romantic portrait, so I'm sort of not that surprised that Gavin chose it as the one that you'd like to take home and look at on a regular basis.
I'm very happy that Gavin's picked my picture. I'm really thrilled with that. So I wasn't expecting that, so that's a really nice way to, if the day ends now, it's good.
Beautiful colours, beautiful, beautiful colours.
Artists, thank you, and very well done. Can you all now leave the room so that the judges can get on with drawing up their shortlist?
I like the composition, but I don't think it's very strong.
No, this for me feels like Superman. I can totally understand why Gavin picked it.
I'm not convinced by any of them, actually.
Okay.
I would put Pamela in there. I would.
I just don't think it's interesting.
Shall we hold her in our mind and then come back?
Okay, if you insist.
No.
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 This is just, she's just not experienced enough.
This is a little gem.
It's really refreshing, and there's also something about her face there. These guys are missing that.
I think this is a very insightful,
I
psychologically.
love it. I mean, in terms of the gaze of the day, he's nailed it. I mean, it's beautiful. It's so direct, and it's just a tiny little nuanced, knowing glance that he must have got really early this morning.
What people won't understand is why we're not raving about this
Well,
one.
I'm going to rave about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's raveable.
It stands by itself.
Yeah. I think the line really holds its own.
Can I just say, though, this is a great selection. They really engage.
Now, the judges have drawn up a short list of 3 artists. When I read out your name, will you please step forward? James Green. Nick Lord. And Toby Hunt.
Okay, will the 3 shortlisted artists please stay behind to tell the judges a bit more about their paintings. As for the rest of you, thank you so much for today, and congratulations on getting this far.
It's been tough to get down to a final 3, and now the judges are having even more trouble choosing their favourite. So they talk to the artists to help them to make up their minds.
So, Nick, in your self-portrait, I was rather under the impression that you'd put sort of sellotape and painted on top of it, and you've managed to get that same technique here. How do you do that?
It's the way I make my paints. I use the pigment and then I mix it with more of the copolymer emulsion to sort of thicken it up, and then I just layer it and layer it and layer it, and that allows me to sort of create that sort of glossy sheen, and then also build up the texture.
So you get that lovely sensation of wash, but yet there's still that great depth to it.
Yeah, definitely.
And how about the time? If you had longer, would you? How would it develop?
Yeah, I'd spend more time concentrating on the detail of the sort of the main features, so the eyes, nose, and mouth, and I would have just sort of just spent more time tightening that up and sort of
building it up.
Yeah.
But you'd have left that sort of sense of looseness.
the sort of looseness, yeah.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers, thank you.
A really strong bit of portraiture. I
Yeah.
thought, it's just and very inventive with the way you worked your way across his face. It was impressive watching you. You kind of sprinted out of the blocks, and then you sort of controlled it. And did it run as smoothly as you hoped? I mean, it looks very complete.
Yeah, well, I was aiming really for kind of physical solidity of the figure, because Simon is a very, big guy. So I wanted to kind of get that kind of weight across. And
what I love is just that dash of red in the eye. It's absolutely fantastic, and it sort of anchors that side of the face. It actually really needed it, and if you take it away, it's missing it. And I really love the way you've pulled back out. I mean, the body really references the face, but it does it in its own unique way. There's a really nice harmony there.
Okay.
James, it's fairly safe to say of all the people working with lino cut today, yours was the best. But actually, you've captured this fantastic expression, which is what I really loved about this. There's a real brevity to it, but the expression is there, and it's been there all day.
You mentioned that you sometimes sort of bring different elements together in one.
Yeah. I spend a lot of time composing images before I put them on the lino. I like to be confident.
Thank you.
The artists are asked to withdraw while the judges discuss their final verdict. We're minutes away from announcing today's winner.
I'm really, really interested to see what he does next. I think he's got an unusual technique, and it feels very fresh and contemporary. And I'm not that bothered about the likeness. I think the likeness is there, but I think it's also a really interesting painting.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like that freshness about it too, and I like as Gavin was saying, that sort of aggression in the stance as well.
Yeah.
And I think he's, in a way, I think out of all of those portraits, he's captured him more than the others.
Yeah.
Even actually without the chest, which is interesting. That he's still got that sort of monumentality again.
I must say, I think this one is really punchy and powerful.
This just feels a little bit over-laboured.
Yeah.
It feels like something I've seen many, many times.
For me, I just think once you've got past the surface texture, is there really a penetrating gaze there? I'm not sure that there is.
Okay, let's keep that. I mean, this is a little gem. It's beautiful in its brevity and also in its inventiveness.
I'm glad he was in the final 3.
Yeah, I think he definitely needed to be in the final 3. He earned his place here.
So we need to persuade you.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
what can we do?
The judges have reached their decision. The winner of the Cardiff Heat of the Sky Arts Portrait Artist of the Year is... Nick Lord.
Our commiseration to James and Toby, but congratulations on getting this far.
Feels awesome. Hasn't really sort of properly sunk in yet, but there was so many other sort of good pieces of work there, so it was tough. So I was pretty excited and pretty shocked at the same time. So yeah.
When they made the final announcement, I was very happy with that. I think they made the right choice.
His work really had that kind of dynamic with the paint that he was using, and it looked, really modern and vibrant, and a really good portrait and a very good likeness.
I'm excited now that I've sort of had a taste of working from life again and sort of been around other people whilst working. I'm looking forward to it. Going to practice some more, but definitely looking forward to it.
So that's it. We've scoured Britain and Ireland and have found our 4 finalists. Tune in next week when they'll be meeting for the first time and undertaking a very special challenge.
Louis Morris, who won in London, Ewan McClure, who won in Glasgow, Selina Mowat, who was the winner in Dublin, and Nick Lord, who won today in Cardiff, are all off to Paris to learn from the work of some of the great masters and to paint a portrait of model and author Sophie Dahl. All in their quest to become the Sky Arts Portrait Artist of the Year.